Hello there, I'm Dave and welcome to my studio. Now this is a video that I've been wanting to make for some time and well, it's very different to my normal videos. And if you watch my channel you'll know that I enjoy building guitars, I enjoy composing music. I know it's a bit of a cliche, but life is a journey, isn't it? And we all know the destination. But it's the things you do along the way that make it so enjoyable and fulfilling. And that's how it is for me. Now I like building guitars, I like playing music and recording music, but I also like writing. And a few years ago, well, we were on holiday and I was sitting on the beach reading the latest Dan Brown on my Kindle. And I got to the end and, well, I felt a bit let down, if I'm honest with you, and I thought, do you know what, I'd like to have a go at this. Now I had this rather wacky idea of a small English village that disappears down a sinkhole, and I thought I can wrap a story around that. So it took me about 4 years, but I finally finished my novel called The Dogworth Drop, and I sent it off to about 14 or 15 agents, and of course I got a few rejections and a few ignores. And so I thought, okay, fair enough. I looked around, I saw that Amazon allows you to publish them yourself, so sure enough I published the novel myself on Amazon as a Kindle and as a paperback. And well, I've had about 30 people buy it, which is great. But it was the achievement for me. It was, you know, the fact that I'd set myself a goal and managed to do it, and it was very enjoyable doing it along the way. Well, now I'm in a position of finishing my second novel. Again, it's taken about 4 years. This is a more serious novel, and I thought it would be nice to take you on the journey that I go on in trying to get this published, and if I fail there, then to self-publish it. Before we start, I thought it'd be worth showing you how I go about writing a novel, because it may give you some information and get you going to write your own. Now then, once you've got an idea, you need probably to sketch it out just on a sheet of paper, just so you know sort of the main themes. But in my experience, the story actually comes when you start writing. So I sort of have a beginning and I have a rough idea of the end. But what happens in the middle really develops as I start writing it, because the characters themselves, once you've got them in your head and you start living the story from their point of view, starts taking over, and it's really strange, but they sort of help you write the story. One of the things that I find most enjoyable about writing novels is, in some ways it's better than reading, because the characters are more alive in your head than they are off the page. Anyway, so I digress. How do you go about this? Now what I do, I have my iPad. So I use an iPad and I use Pages, because I find the Apple word processor on an iPad works most efficiently, and you want something where you can type it in as quickly as possible, and it's relatively easy to edit. So typing it into an iPad or even into a computer is obviously one of the options, and ultimately you need to get it on to a disk in order to be able to send it to anybody. But there are a couple of other things that I think you need to sort of consider, and one of those is just a notepad. And I found this quite useful. You know, if I'm sitting somewhere and I've got an idea, I have a notepad, I write it down, and then I then type it in. And the beauty of that is you've got sort of two chances at it, because you as you're copying it from your notebook, you can make corrections. I always read through the sections that I write, so I'll try and do sort of 1,000 to 2,000 words a day when I'm writing, and then the following day I will read through that section and edit it and make sure that it fits in with all the other parts of the story. But obviously if you're going to type it in from something you've handwritten, then it's another opportunity to do that. And the final way of doing that is a way that my dad used. Now, my dad's, well, he was 89 when he wrote his first book, and that was a book of his life story. He wanted to record his life for the grandchildren. And he can't feel his fingers, really, so he can't really type very well. So what he did, he's got an iPad, and he dictated it using the dictation tool into pages. And it worked pretty well. It worked well enough to get the whole novel, and I think he's got about 100 pages. Sorry, I was calling it a novel. It's his life story. It's got 100 pages in there. It needed some editing at the end of it all, which we did on a computer. But to get it in there, it was an ideal medium to do that. Now, obviously, you need to be used to dictating, and I'm not. I find it really hard to do that. But if it's something that you are familiar with, then that's a really good way of doing it. So I just want to show you those methods in a little bit more detail. Okay, so I mentioned Pages. Now, Pages is an app that comes on iPads and iPhones, and it's an Apple word processor which is built into these devices. It's this orange icon here with a pen, so if I click on that, it's going to take me straight into the book. But let me just go back. You can see here that this is a folder of documents, so it's very easy to create a new document. Just hit the plus there, and I've hit the blank button, and I've got a blank page here. And so it's very easy basically to start typing. Now then, that's one way of doing it. Now, I mentioned that my dad had trouble typing, and so what he did was dictate. And to do that, you hit this little button down the bottom, and then you can start speaking into the iPad, and it will type for you, as you can see over there. Now, it's not going to be absolutely perfect, and there's going to be some things you need to correct. But if you want to get the gist of the story in, then certainly this is a good way of doing it. Now, my tip for using word processors is just to take a little bit of time before you start, just to set up a template that you're happy with. Now, I'm not going to go into how you do that in this video, but if anybody's interested, then please let me know in the comments, and I'll walk you through that. But this is really quite a simple process. It's just setting up some styles, for example, a heading style, a subheading style, and a body text style. Now, these styles are used when you're writing, so obviously the headings are going to be in the headings, and the body text is going to be in the body text. The beauty of it is, if later or down the line, somebody says to you, can you please change the line spacing from 1.5 to 1.25, or can you change the font from Times Roman to Helvetica? Then it's very easy just to go into the style and to change it there, and it will change throughout the whole document, and it makes life so much easier for yourself and for any agents that you might send the document to in the future. Just gives a bit of structure. And the advantage of it as well is that if you've set up a heading, then in most word processors you'll be able to see a list of those headings down the side of the page, which means you can jump between chapters, for example, very quickly. And in my case, that's very useful when I forget the name of the character or the hair colour or the age of a character. I can jump back just to check what I've written. I mean, that's a whole new story there. Writing down details of your characters as you go. I've been caught out with this many a time. Anyway, that's how I approach it. Well, now then, you've written your novel. You've done all the formatting you can. You've gone through and checked the grammar to the best of your ability. And I have to say, English wasn't my strong point. I'm a Mr. Average, I think, on English. So it's not going to be perfect, but you get it as perfect as you can. It's nicely structured. What's the next step? Well, I'm going to leave that to the next video. But please, if you're interested in anything that I've sort of mentioned up to now and you'd like some more information, just please let me know in the comments below, and I'll gladly put a video out in this series just to explain a little bit more detail for you. Anyway, thank you for watching this episode. I'll be back soon. Cheers.